So hello everybody. Good morning. How are you today?
Good.
Alex, you said you're good?
Yeah.
Do you think you have the right to be good?
Absolutely, yes.
What about you, Manuel?
Okay,
Do you think that being right should be written in a law?
I don't think so. I don't think so because even though these are right, everybody maybe can have a happy face but feel terrible. It's not a matter of laws or politics or to be okay, because what I say is, if this is written in the book or paper or whatever, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday, you have to be okay. That's not possible.
So you say it shouldn't be written in a law?
No.
What about you, Ron?
I think it could be written only like a basic right that any human being need to, like a basic right. I think that maybe we don't need to regulate, because it's a state of mind that is difficult to state some responsibilities. I think it's the first person that is responsible is myself.
Okay, so you say that it should be a basic right, but not a written right. So do you think that there's a difference between a basic right unwritten and a basic right which is written?
I think the difference is that when we name something, we give existence to things, and when you don't give a name for something, it's like this thing don't matter.
So
it's only for take conscious that this personal aspect is important for human development, well-being.
So basically, you're saying that we have to name things in order to take conscience of them.
Yeah, that's right.
So in this case, if there is a basic right to be well, and it's an unwritten right, what will be the limit or the length of this right? Alex?
I don't know. I think it's hard because I think there is several factors that influence on this of being well. Let's say health, let's say the emotional factor or things, and also the economic, the cultural factor. So it's hard to limit.
In fact, I think the idea is the same, like the social happiness, and it's a basic right for some Western cultures. And I think it's important because each person needs to take conscious of this aspect in order to make things that help to feel right.
Okay, so we're taking conscience about being right, as you said, pursue happiness, and Alex also said that it's a multifactorial issue that we have to manage if we want to be well. Is there any relation between health issues, emotional issues, economical issues, cultural issues? I mean, which weight do we have to give to each of these multifactorial situations to be right, to be well?
Well, I think today, I don't know who is selling us this marketing stuff about you are rich, if you had a wonderful girlfriend or whatever, you have a social position, you want to be happy. But I think the relationship between among these factors refer more to be well. I mean to feel well, even though you don't have all this stuff. That's what I think. Maybe if you are conscious about how you feel, you're doing well, your job, you direct your own life to whatever you want to take.
I think it's multi-dimensional aspect, because feel well is not the only thing that we need to take account. We need to take account the consequence of things that we do in order to feel well. For example, I can take some drug and feel well. Or I can do some business and feel well, but what are the consequences to others, or to my health, or to the environment? And when we analyze all these aspects, we arrive to a better equilibrium, a better solution.
Okay, so basically you're saying that there's a limit of the freedom to search the means to be well.
Yeah, right.
Do you think that those limits should be contained on a law?
Of course, I think.
So, if you agree with me, what would be the direction of this law? I mean, whose person should decide where to take the law and to which objectives? I don't know.
I don't know. I understand the question, but I think all society is concerned, but we need some social structures that regulate or monitor these human activities that help or affect or make effects on the well-being of anybody. And each person needs to know that I have the responsibility to feel well, but not at any price. I need to regulate my behavior in order that I achieve my personal goals, but I don't damage other people.
Would you agree with me if we state that the law has a social function then? To regulate conduct?
Of course.
So it takes me back to the original question, which will be the boundaries of the state's activities in limiting our behavior.
Well, maybe, as you say, trying to contribute to this well-being of the humans, giving through or impulse through this law equal opportunities of job, get food, water, and all this opportunity, education, and all this stuff. But I think maybe it's a personal issue to feel, as Ramon said, if you feel well or not. I mean, no, because of the law is going to say you are going to you have to feel good today. It's going to happen. Maybe through the law is you're going to contribute to that, maybe.
So in what you stated is very important. I totally agree with you. Do you think we have the right to being wrong, to being not well?
It's a hard question. It's a hard question because who wants to feel bad? But yeah, you have the right. Maybe from emotional point of view,
Yes.
maybe today I feel sad because I don't know, something happened, or I remember something from my childhood or whatever, and I have the right to feel that.
What do you think, Ramon?
I think it's a danger if you state this right because you want to justify that somebody have the right to suicide himself. I think you need to state limits of the right to be wrong if you don't have some kind of consequences, personal, for example, but not totally. Because if you state like a total right, I think it's
Very nice job. Manuel, what do you think? How did the discussion go? Do you think that it reached your
Yes,
your
definitely.
objective?
Yes.
And if so, how do you think it?
Yes. Well, I think their participation went so well. I mean, they have a very clear opinion about what they think about what has been asked. And I must say to them that this is one of the basic problems of law. What's the limit of law? So many years of philosophy haven't yet decided what's the end. I mean, you are all right. So went well because it's a discussion. It came to talk about something and to maybe elaborate some ideas and to reflect about them. And that was the whole idea of the question.
All right. Suggestions, comments, questions for Manuel? Maybe things that you observed from this dynamic discussion.
what is the answer to your first question?
I feel fine. I mean, that was the first question. How are you?
I don't know.
Okay, I'm
Maybe my question is, do you think it could be right?
Well, actually, you brought something very important, but I didn't give more information about the pursuit of happiness. I mean, it's a basic statement of the Constitution of the United States, and also it's a basic sentence used in the Human Rights Declaration. I mean, it's important, but it's a principle. The difference between a principle and a law, it's so important to understand. So for me, the basic idea is to have main principles to be followed, yes? And by law and other sources of law, I mean sentences, treaties and all this stuff, to reach the as much as possible to those principles. But that vision, it's a naturalistic idea of approaching to law. I mean, it's part of the discussion. The other way is the positive search of law. I mean, the only thing important is what is written. But I think what's important is what we as humans are reaching or trying to reach. So, but it's a philosophical position.
So, any questions or comments or suggestions about the discourse? Now, Ramon's question, the type of question he has, is a reflection of how well the discussion went, because he's like, I want more information about this. He wants to turn it back into the discussion. So that's a positive thing. That's a good thing. That's a reflection of how well it went. But try to think from a method or methodology standpoint. Think about any questions, comments, suggestions based on how Manuel facilitated this discussion.
Yeah.
Anything that you either liked or questions or comments, anything about the way in which this conversation emerged?
Well, I think at the beginning, when you state the first question and try to guide us to this topic, I feel like maybe you had very structured the first part, but then you just try to formulate these new questions. When I don't know how to say, when you direct the question to the person. I don't know if this is the best way to do it.
To leave it open, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know.
What else did you notice? I mean, if you think about back up to that moment when that happened, was there anything else that came to your attention? I don't know if you remember, Ramon, or that.
When the first question was directed to Alex, I don't know that I feel that Alex don't weighted this question directly to him. but it's I don't know, it's a thing. In general, I think it was an interview very dynamic and interesting, because I think we participate more or less the same time each, the question, the reformulation, so ideas and the answers. But I think it was good. I feel comfortable with your questions, and I think it's a very important subject that we need to continue to reflect.
Yes. I think I would try maybe not to be so inquisitive. Maybe it's my deformation.
Yeah.
You know, because as a lawyer we always do that kind of stuff. But for me it's so important that people think about that everybody knows and feels how law should be. And we have all the idea of what law is. And I mean law in a general way. Other things being a technical in law, like in my case. But if we talk, we are going to reach the same solutions. So for me, it's very important, this kind of discussion.
I don't know if it's a personal quality that you have, or that helps that this idea that lawyers maybe are more trained in this kind of activity, the questioning, because some some applications or lawyer jobs or activities are directed to question question people in order to get information, or in order to have a framework to take decisions.
Yes.
And maybe it's not the same for other.
Well, we do it, yes, we get trained to do something like questionnaires to train people, like specialists, like peritos, I don't know, specialists. And also we have to interview with the clients and with the other people, so we have to be very precise on the information that we want to achieve. So if you go to a judge, yes, you have to be clear enough so you have the information that you want to be given to the judge, and that's part of the situation.
I think it's important, and this is just my own opinion, I think it's worth thinking about, especially in your profession, perhaps, you decide at the end of the day if this is even true, but perhaps making the distinction between the practice of law and teaching in the classroom, and when it would be appropriate to call in somebody, okay, you know, so-and-so,
Yes.
John Doe,
Yes.
why did this happen? Yeah, maybe that's a technique, you call their name, of course, they're the only one there, you're looking at them, but you call their name because there's a, you know, psychological thing there going on, whatever the case may be, or you're trying to remind the jury the name, or whatever. So, of course, that's something there, right, that you, as a practitioner, are going to use and manipulate and all of that. And then the actual discourse between you as a teacher or teacher or facilitator and your students, right?
Yes.
What I really liked about your seminar really was how you framed, and when you guys go back and listen to your recordings, especially in your case, go back and listen to how you framed, you set up the question, just as you suggested earlier you did in practice. You paraphrased some thoughts, kind of brought it together, kind of honed them in, and then set up the next question and went on. And I think in practice, especially in teaching when we're in front of groups, that's going to be the norm than maybe just question, and then another question, and then another question,
Yes.
and so on. So I think that, and that's a skill, right, that you can develop, and listening skill, and then synthesizing skill, like a cognitive skill, and then leading that up to the next question. So I particularly like that in your example. Going back to Alex, and I know one thing that wasn't mentioned was the use of pacing. And when we talk about pacing, especially for English language learners, especially when we're using a Socratic Seminar, it's having the confidence, and you're prepared just to wait. More than you're inside, you're like, somebody say something at first at least. And even the students will feel a little bit uncomfortable. But the idea is to try to find that spot where you can relax and just let it sink in for a minute. Think about it. And they will, at first it'll be weird, but then they'll start to appreciate, okay, I feel calmer, therefore my thoughts are a little bit, okay, I'm thinking more dynamically, and then I'm ready to speak. All of your cases, all three of you, I didn't participate, but I wanted to. And I think that is a reflection of a good Socratic seminar. It's like, and imagine a student who is understanding this, right? That's the goal, is that they want to come up and participate. Of course, some are going to be more outgoing, some are going to be more shyer than others. But even though they hear this, they want to participate, and that is really the goal. And maybe they participate, maybe they don't, but even if they're thinking about it, and you give them maybe later some opportunity to share and interact with whatever's being discussed, right? That's the idea. but I just wanted to throw that extra, that comment of pacing. And you can decide if you want to call on students, right? And the tendency is, if nobody says anything, okay, I'm going to have to call on a student. But the idea, hopefully, through a Socratic seminar, is that the students are contributing on their own without being called. And it's our job to try as much as possible to maintain some sort of equal talk time, at least to give everyone the opportunity, so that some students aren't dominating the concept. And that's something we haven't really talked about, but that's another approach. It's like, how do you deal with a couple students, because this is going to happen, where they're dominating. They just want to talk, which is great, but you don't also want them to dominate the conversation.
I had this experience last weekend. I teach master's degree. There were fewer students, there were 5. So I started to making questions like this. They were, it was our first class, and the teacher is asking again. So I had to tell him, okay, there's no right or wrong answer. You just think, talk about this. And I realized that you also have to take care of the length of the exercise, because they get tired, they get bored, and so it's not but you have to plan how to.
Yeah, and this is not I'm not suggesting that the Socratic Seminar is the only method, right? These are those moments, right? You'll find those moments where you can try to generate this, and I think by you as a practitioner, you start to learn how to listen and ask questions. It's going to, I think, positively affect how you deal with your class every single day, whether it's technically a Socratic seminar, or if it's just a normal class of you listening and asking questions, because as you know, we ask questions all the time, whether it's Socratic seminar or it's just teaching technically. So yeah, but I enjoyed listening in.